And welcome to another episode of the Lowcountry Sports Report. I'm Carlo and as always, I'm joined by Justin Jarrett. Justin, what's up, man?
Hey, lots going on as usual. Always good to catch up here in the studio.
Absolutely, very busy week of local sports. Starting off, tennis, man. A lot of tennis been going on.
Yeah, some exciting tennis action. We kind of teased it last week that Buford and Hilton Head had a great first meeting.
Oh, yeah.
They were going to have a rematch. It got rained out and rescheduled. And the Eagles, Buford High, came out on top this time. Hilton Head has kind of been the dominant force in that region for a long time, but Buford splits the season series, and they got a little stroke of luck because the number one doubles match got rained out.
Okay.
So they end up winning 4-2. Hilton Head won the first one 4-3. The tiebreaker is total courts won between the two matches. So Beaver High is going to be a region champion and the number one seed in the playoffs. Although I think there's a very good chance those teams meet at some point in the playoffs because they're both very strong this year.
Absolutely. So another big-time sport that's been going on, softball.
Yeah, lots of softball going on. Battery Creek is coming on strong, and I think you're going to be
yeah, I went down there.
Yeah,
it was a good
catching
time
up with them this week. We talked early in the season about their struggles. I think they got off to a 1-7 start, but we talked a lot about the schedule they were playing, and they went out and they scheduled some of the best teams in the state, 4A, 5A schools in the upstate, trying to get better, trying to do whatever they could to improve upon last year's lower state final appearance, and it's looking pretty good for them so far because they're rolling now in region play and just dominating everybody. And they beat Hanahan the other night, which was a rematch of that lower state final series last year. So maybe they have the upper hand this year. Maybe they can go all the way to the state finals. I'll be interested to see your package talking with the Dolphins. Thomas Hayward's still looking good in the Skeezer ranks, looking for them to compete for a state championship. And some of the younger teams that are coming up. Bluffton taking 2 out of 3 from Beaufort was a little bit of a surprise. Hilton has been playing well, but then Beaufort took game 1 from them the other night. So, we've got some good competitive matchups going on in those region matchups. May River playing for second now in the region because Battery Creek's taking charge. But if the Sharks can get the number 2 seed, I think they could do some damage in the playoffs as well.
It's really amazing to see the wonderful talent we have of softball in this area. I mean, we have some high-level talent from both Skeezer schools and high schools, so it's been wonderful. But we're going to take a trip over to Battery Creek High School, catch up with the softball team.
You know, we had a really good run last year through the state playoffs, and we knew that in order to kind of finish and accomplish the goals we had set for this year, we had to challenge ourselves. So, definitely on purpose, my goal was to schedule as difficult a competition as we can. We'd play anybody, anywhere, in an effort to get us battle-tested, ready to go for playoffs this year.
At first, it was kind of difficult to take those losses because we're not used to taking the losses. So it was hard at first, but then throughout the season, we've realized that it's preparing us more and more for the end of the season when we get back into playoffs. It's harder to get better games, so this year we made sure we got more games with harder division teams. So
it was hard to get through, but it prepared us for the rest of the season for sure.
We had a great game against Hanahan, who knocked us out of the state playoffs last year in the lower state finals. They came here, we had an extra inning game against them, ended up on the right side of that. And a lot of it was because we've been in those playoff type of atmospheres. So I think it's really paid dividends for us, not only in our region games, but our non-region games. And I'm excited to see where we're going to go from here.
We lost to them in lower state last year, and so it felt really good to win against them.
Felt really good, honestly. It definitely made me feel more relieved coming towards lower state because last year in lower state we played against Hanahan and we fell short in the last inning. So playing against them again this year after having 2 graduating seniors, it definitely helped give me more motivation to work harder because if I know we can beat Hanahan now, I know we can beat them in the long run because we're not even done yet. So
I think the motto is just kind of continue to get 1% better, get a little bit better every day. And if we do that from start to finish, we're going to be right where we need to be come playoff time and give ourselves the best chance. So kind of stay the course, keep working hard, keep getting better every day on everything that you do, kind of dominate the day. And if we do those things, then again, we'll give ourselves the best chance.
Had a wonderful time catching up with the Dolphins, but now, JJ, let's talk some baseball. What's been going on with the area lately?
Yeah, well, we talked last week about Beaufort High kind of taking control in Region 7 4A. They're still in command. They got a couple games lead over Hilton Head. Both those teams have the week off from region play this week. They're stepping outside region, so we'll have to wait until next week to kind of see how that shakes out. But Beaufort with the 2-game lead, they're in control. They'll need Colleton County to help them out against Hilton Head next week, and Hilton Head will need Colleton County to help them out against Beaufort to see if they can tighten that race up a little bit. Over in Skeeza, Hilton Head Prep was kind of starting to run away with things, but Thomas Hayward coming on strong lately. They handed the Dolphins their first region loss, and then they won a close one against John Paul II the other night. So it's starting to tighten up a little bit. Dolphins with just a 1-game lead over the Rebels now, and some really competitive games in that region. It's been fun to watch those teams go at it. They've got some strong pitching and getting the job done. Young teams, especially Hilton Head Prep, just very impressive what Chris Wells has done there, turning that team around in just 1 year.
It's really cool for a team like Thomas Hayward that they're dominating both softball and baseball. You know, they're good both sides of the field.
Yeah, they've got a good athletic program out there. Not a ton of sports, but the ones they have, they're very competitive in. Of course, won a football state championship. So
not bad.
Well.
Pretty good year for them.
And then the one other baseball team, you know, to kind of keep an eye on, May River.
Always.
They're looking good in their region, but they've got their biggest region opponent coming up next week, a home-and-home with Wade Hampton. So we'll have to see how that shakes out. That'll pretty much decide the region championship in Region 8 3A. So that'll be huge, because if you get that #1 seed in the playoffs, it really helps you going forward.
For sure, that'll be interesting. But that's going to do it for us for now. We're going to take a quick little break, but when we come back, Matt Watts is going to be up here, and we're going to be talking some park and rec. You're watching the Lowcountry Sports Report.
Series. There's a smash to right field. That ball is way back. Gone. Nico Lang. So Beaufort County home run shot over the right field.
And welcome back to the Lowcountry Sports Report. I'm now joined by Matt Watts. Matt, what's up, man?
Back again, guys.
Back again.
Yeah, that's right. I look forward to being here.
Absolutely. So, spring sports, I'm sure it's rolling pretty fast and hard. Give us a little update about it.
Yeah, it's been a little chilly for spring sports, but yeah, we're on full swing with baseball and softball, as you know, but we just actually ended our spring sports registration for our adult softball program. And man, we had a great turnout. We had 70. We have 30 teams this year, and that's up from 22 from last year. So great to see that we have adults that are wanting to participate in our programs.
Awesome. So do you have any big-time registration coming up? Any big events?
Yeah, we actually just started our summer registration.
Okay.
We usually, just start early just to, have it going underway real soon. But we started with summer registration for youth summer basketball, along with youth summer lacrosse for high school kids. We actually were approached by some of the high school coaches wanting to see if we could get involved with a lacrosse program last year, and it was a success in Bluffton. We couldn't get the participation in Beaufort, but this year we're hearing that we're going to get that participation. So hopefully we'll have that program not only in Bluffton but also in Beaufort this year.
Do you usually have good numbers for those sports?
It's only for ages 14 to 17. We had about 20 kids last year in
Bluffton.
Bluffton.
Not too bad.
Yeah, not bad. Because it gives the kids, because there's really nothing going on in the summer lacrosse wise. Mostly, so there's summer baseball for kids, and summer basketball for teenagers that age. But there's not much lacrosse wise, AAU travel or anything like that. So it's good for us to provide them a program to be able to do something during the summer.
That must be perfect for like kids in high school, or kids who are about to be in high school who want to be on the lacrosse team. Gives them some extra practice, lets them stay in it longer and get some experience and help their high school potentially.
Absolutely, and like I said, the high school coaches are very involved. They don't do a lot of the hands-on coaching, but they officiate for us, so that helps. Having knowledgeable officials out there. But most of it's instructional, but a lot of it's just gameplay, which is good for that level, because it's more for the experienced lacrosse players.
Absolutely. So now let's highlight one of the aspects of your facilities. So I was there a couple weeks ago in the weight room. So you both have one at Vernon Wells and at the Buckwalter. Just talk about your weight rooms.
No, it's actually one of the most popular areas in both of our rec centers in Burton Wells over here in Beaufort and Buckwalter over in Bluffton. And we have a lot of people that come in the early hours along with in the afternoon hours. We have free weights if you want to come in there and do a little weightlifting. We also have cardio equipment. Over at Burton Wells, our cardio equipment is actually in the weight room. At Buckwalter, as you're aware, it's on the track, right? But we do at Buckwalter have plenty of we have pulley systems, where it's, for older folks that don't want to do as much weightlifting.
Right.
We have squat racks, we have ab machines, things of that nature. We also have a lot of other we have the rope swings and things like that they can use. So it's a lot. I mean, it's very, very popular in our rec centers.
Perfect. So what are so you'd say the busy and like the slow times to go?
Busy. We open up from 8 to 8, during the week, Monday through Friday. We're also open 8 to 6 on Saturday, but it's always early in the mornings that the weight room's more popular for people that want to get in there before work, or our seniors that want to get their workouts out of the way. And then it also picks back up after 5 o'clock when everybody gets off work.
Right.
So during the day, anytime, it's usually a little quiet in there, but early morning hours and late afternoon and night is when we're packed.
So you could potentially be having to wait a couple minutes to use a machine or something like that.
That's right, correct.
So what are the rules? Do you have any rules in there? Are kids allowed? Is there an age limit? Like, how does that all work?
We do. Anybody under the age of 14, cannot be allowed into there without someone adult age, 18 or over. So, but we don't allow anybody on the equipment unless they're a teenager, unless they're 14 or older.
Right.
So, but we have to make sure that kids aren't going in there and hurting themselves, because parents sometimes after school, especially at Buckwalter and Bluffton, kids they go to middle school and high school right across the street, so they walk over there to play basketball or just wait on their parents to pick them up, and we don't want the parents to hear about them getting hurt in the weight room, and they didn't want them in the weight room in the first place. So we make sure that we keep it supervised.
So last question for you, Matt. As you just said, you have a bunch of kids who's coming in and using the facility. What does that mean for you guys? Like just you and the rest of your staff members seeing kids enjoy themselves, whether it's weight room, it's the pools, it's the basketball gyms, it's whatever.
Well, we're happy to make sure that kids have something to do. We provide these rec center, for quality of life for the public, but it's really good to see, especially teenagers in the facility, because if you don't have that type of outlet for them, they're going to find trouble elsewhere.
Right.
So they come into our facility. They're open to play basketball. We have racquetball at both facilities as well. We have the batting cages over at Buckwalter. So we have a lot of amenities that they come and use after school to keep them out of trouble.
Absolutely. So that's going to do it for us this time, Matt. Thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
But we're going to take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're going to be doing some Sandshark Bites. You're watching the Lowcountry Sports Report. Welcome back to another edition of Sandshark Bites. And no, that's not Jody Vermilia. It's still Justin Jarrett. But JJ, so busy week for USCB sports. And we're going to start off, I always like starting off with the golf team. So women's golf back in action. Blanca Porta actually came away with the victory. And she started off a little slow. But really lately, she has been absolutely on fire. And you've covered her a little bit when she was beginning in college. She is a wonderful golfer. And that whole team, man, I mean, the chemistry that those players have. Do you want to talk about it? Like, it's just how special it is, that team chemistry?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as familiar with this particular team as some of the teams in the past, but I just think college golf in general, there is a certain camaraderie there. You spend so much time together, long van rides and, playing 4 or 5 hour rounds together. You see each other in between holes even when you're not playing in the same group, and go out to eat together and stay in hotels together for, days at a time. So I think there's just a great camaraderie there, and of course it can can go the other way. If you don't have good team chemistry and they all hate each other, then it can go the wrong way in a hurry.
That's not the case for either of those teams over there. Both the men and the women, they're even friends with each other too. They're just a happy group that love to golf and love being with each other. The men actually, they have an upcoming tournament they're getting ready for at Dalton State. This is the last tournament before the big conference tournament in nationals. They're defending Sun Conference champs, so they're going to be ready to go. And I really think they got another shot at doing it. And I think it all goes to coaching, honestly. Both Brittany and Danny, the coaches, they're wonderful. They do a lot for their kids.
Yeah, and coaching golf is an interesting thing, especially at the collegiate level. And a lot of the players have their own individual swing coaches or people that they work with. So you're not necessarily, you may work with them a little bit, some of the players on their swings and things, but as much as anything, you're a psychiatrist. You have to be out on the golf course. You have to know your players' personalities, know when you should stay away, when you should intervene and talk to them, what you need to say when you do. So that's a big aspect of it. When you see somebody go in the wrong direction, how do you get them back on track? Because every shot counts. I mean, even if they're out of it, maybe shooting 79 instead of 80 might be the difference between the team winning or finishing second. So it's a tough.
It's all mental for sure.
Yeah, it's a tough job for sure being a college golf coach.
Yeah, I don't think I do well on it. But let's go to softball. They got a new coach this year, and she's been doing pretty good for them. They this past weekend they had some really big matchups. They swept Weber International. They lost 1-2, 1-2 to Warner. Tied first place right now. They have really just blown me away this year. I knew they were going to be good, but they are awesome. And one of their players who's really impressed me is Sloan Ducey, freshman. She's a candidate for Sun Conference Pitcher of the Year. She is by far their best pitcher right now. Abby Pack having a decent year, but struggling a little bit, not as dominant in the past. But she's going to pick that up when it comes to playoffs. And another player, Kayla Boyle. I was telling everybody last time on the show, when we covered her when she was a freshman at USCB, Lawrence told us she's going to become the all-time hit leader. And that's exactly what she did.
Yeah, you could see it from the start with her that she was a special kind of player, a great hitter. It's funny with college softball, especially I think at this level, where maybe the pitcher stuff is not as dominant as is in D1 or something like that. The hitters actually catch up to the pitchers.
For sure.
So by the time a pitcher gets to their senior year, they're a lot of times less effective just because every team has a scouting report on them. If they can't introduce a new pitch or something like that, then they'll start to backslide a little bit. So not surprised that Abby has been hit a little bit more this year than in the past. Just that's the nature of the beast. But she's a gamer. She'll do well for them. Be remiss if we didn't give Laura Heberling some credit in how well that team's playing too.
She put the team together.
She helped build that foundation, and most of that team is her recruits. So
absolutely,
and she's doing well out at Utah State.
Awesome.
So wish her well
for sure.
And the other thing is we talked about all the softball talent in this area. I truly believe that USCB having a successful softball program has elevated the high school talent here and travel ball talent. Having them have that outlet to see what college softball looks like even at the NAIA level.
It's wonderful.
I think it really helps boost the play at the high school level.
Yeah, it really gives them some inspiration and something to work forward to. But let's switch things over. Let's go to the other side of the field and let's talk some baseball. And the baseball team's on a 4-game winning streak. They ended up sweeping Trinity Baptist, and a very special series. We saw something we don't really see too much, and that's a no-hitter. Eamon Collins went out there and threw a no-no, and he's been fantastic. He's been a wonderful addition. Coach Bam and Coach Roberts, great recruiting job there for picking up that kid. I mean, he can pitch well and he can hit. JJ, you've been around local sports for a long time. Something like a no-hitter, does that boost the team, you think?
Well, I would think so for sure. I mean, we haven't seen one at USCB, so it's hard to say what that's going to look like. But they need everything they can get now. It's been a rough year for them. They're struggling in conference
had some
play,
positives, which is good. But
yeah, you need that bright spot, something you can rally around and maybe start to take off a little bit. So hopefully this little hot streak for them will get them going. You'd like to win 4 straight in conference play instead of non-conference. I'm sure Coach Bam would trade that in a heartbeat. But hey, win streak's a win streak, and get some positive momentum going. And that can really help with morale and help you going forward, and hopefully they can make a little run here and get into the conference tournament.
For sure, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do, but that's going to do it for Sandshark Bites this week. We're going to take a quick little break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about some more local sports. You're watching the Lowcountry Sports Report. And welcome back to the Lowcountry Sports Report. JJ, almost done, but still got some more sports to talk about. Track and field had a really busy weekend last week, I understand.
Yeah, as we mentioned last week, the big meet at May River this weekend had about 30 teams out there from throughout the area,
awesome,
and even up into Tennessee and Ohio, some teams on spring break down here. And hey, local team taking home the hardware. Buford High once again, every week. It
dominating.
We're talking about Buford High sweeping the team titles. The boys won it outright, May River second. The girls tied with Bradwell Institute from over in Georgia. So very strong showing. Impressively, the girls, Buford High girls, tied for first without an individual champion. They did not win a single event, which just shows how deep they are and how many people they have who are placing in those events. But the boys looking very, very strong. Look like they have a good shot to repeat as the 4A state champs. And May River with a strong showing as well, finishing second on the boys' side and I believe third on the girls' side. So very strong for the Sharks. And of course, some good individual performances from some folks from the other local schools too. So a lot of track and field talent here in the Lowcountry.
Oh yeah, it's crazy how a school like, we talked about this, but a school like May River, how they are good in almost every sport. Speaking of another sport they're good at, soccer. What's been going on with soccer?
Yeah, both Sharks teams looking good there. The boys, I know you enjoy going to see them.
Oh yeah, they're awesome. They're fun.
The girls are really playing well too. I think both those teams have a legit shot to win the region championship. They've got some big games coming up, but they're in the driver's seat right now, looking good. Bluffton boys as well, looking good. They took their lumps against May River, the crosstown rival, but they beat Hilton Head 6-0 on Tuesday. That was a huge win for them. Pretty much puts them in control for the region championship. So they're looking very good, and I think that's a team that can do some damage in the postseason for sure. Bluffton girls are also playing well. I know your buddy Brittany Pacific is on the coaching staff there.
Coach.
Our USCB connections. But Bluffton girls are looking strong. They got a big win against Beaufort as well. They did lose to Hilton Head High on Tuesday. So Seahawks, they're always a powerhouse, and they're always rounding into form just in time for the playoffs. We'll see if they can make a run at another state championship. Hilton Head Prep girls looking very good in the Skeezer ranks. They're dominating everyone. And the Beaufort Academy boys, got to give them a shout out.
Yeah, they're great.
Last week we talked about the shootout win over Hilton Head Christian Academy. Since then, they got a shootout win over Hilton Head Prep. So they are living on the edge, but they're getting the wins. I think they're 8-1 overall right now, so playing very well and looking for yet another Skeezer 1A championship.
Awesome. So now golf. I mean, we end every show on golf. Let's just keep this going at least to the Heritage. But what's the latest on the Heritage and any local golf?
Yeah, if you haven't checked your calendar,
it's coming up.
It is Masters Week next week, which means Heritage Week is right behind it.
I'm excited.
It is go time for the Heritage. The names are still coming in. I saw Francesco Molinari committed the other day. Trying to remember some of the other names, but I mean the field is as good as I remember it being for a while. It's going to be very strong. We talked a lot about Bryson DeChambeau last week. Probably going to be my pick this year.
Yeah.
But man, it's going to be awesome. And some local guys who may someday be playing in the Heritage. Bryson Nimmer had another great week for Clemson. I believe I saw that he had the most top 20s in program history, or top 10s in program history, something like that. You're talking about Clemson golf. There's a whole bunch of guys who made a living on the PGA Tour for a long time. So very impressive what he's doing. And then, there's some of the young guys as well, even the high school guys who may have a future, like JT Herman at Hilton Head Prep, won another match. He's shooting under par almost every round, it seems like, for Hilton Head Prep. So we've got a lot of golf talent around here, probably more than any sport. And it's always exciting to see how far those guys can go.
Absolutely. So another thing that's coming up, you just want to touch upon it, the Special Olympics. We talked about it last week. You said you did some volunteering for it. Just your overall thoughts of the event and why someone should go out and volunteer for that.
Yeah, it's a fantastic event. I mean, you go out there and you'll understand why you should be involved with it. I mean, it's just a special day. It's really neat to see the community rally around that event and cheer those kids on, and adults as well. I mean, it's amazing. Just a neat event and something
and that's at May River High School.
It's great to be a part of. Yeah, it's coming up at May River High School, and you can find all that information online. If you search Area 8 South Carolina Special Olympics, you can find all the info.
Outstanding. Well, JJ, that's going to conclude it for this week. We hope you guys all enjoyed another episode, but we'll be back next week. You're watching the Lowcountry Sports Report. Take care.
Hey, I'm Josh Reddick, World Series champ, and you're watching the County Channel. Over my shoulder is some perfect fox squirrel habitat. We've seen a couple running around. Fox squirrels are not your typical squirrel. We have two types of squirrels around here. We have the just normal gray squirrel, and that's Sciurus carolinensis. And then we also have the fox squirrel, which is a cousin, and it's Sciurus niger. It's a much bigger squirrel. Your standard gray squirrel is 3/4 of a pound to a pound. A fox squirrel is 2 pounds sometimes even bigger than that. And they look very, very different. They're bigger, they're bulkier. The typical fox squirrel is gray with varying amounts of black on him, but they can be gold sometimes. A lot of times they're jet black, and so they're melanistic fox squirrels. And depending on where you are, in certain areas, they seem to all be kind of gray and black with a little bit of black on them. In other areas, the majority of them are jet black. So they look a lot of different ways, but they're much bigger. They often sit upright. Sometimes they look more like a meerkat or something. And I'll tell you, the reason they're here is because there's a lot of pecan trees here, and they love pecans. Now, they'll eat a lot of other things as well. They love acorns, they'll eat a lot of pine cones, and sometimes they'll even eat bird eggs and small animals. And one of the really cool things about fox squirrels is they bury things. And gray squirrels do the same thing. And when they bury acorns, one of the things that they're doing is planting trees, because they don't remember where all those acorns are. They have the ability to smell them out of the ground, but sometimes they forget about them or can't find them. And when they do that, of course, the acorns turn into oak trees. Fox squirrels are cavity nesters, and the other reason they're here is because of the trees. They like these trees and live oaks and pecan trees because there are holes in them where they can go in, build a sort of a leaf nest, and then have their babies. Join me for Coastal Kingdom on the County Channel.